Derby County are interested in bringing in another winger to the club. This winger comes by the name of Jaden Montnor. He currently plays for Cypriot team Apris Limissimo, and he looks like he could be a wonderful talent to come and take over from the likes of Mendes Lang and Caden Jackson. At just 22 years old, he has been a really important player for his current team, waltzing past defenders and making things happen. Can he move over to the Championship and make things happen for Derby County? Let's find out in this video, but before we do get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County content. So here we have the link. There's multiple sports journalists from overseas reporting that Derby County, Preston and Panathinaikos want to sign the 22-year-old winger Jaden Montnor. Now, this could be a really good deal for Derby County. I've spoke about it a lot over the course of the last few weeks when we talk about the likes of Mendes Lang and Caden Jackson and not really having that competition. You look at Corey Blackett-Taylor, never really stepped up to the mark so far, and Tom Barkhuizen is towards the back end of his career. So it looks as if this player is one for the future for Derby County to come in, have an instant impact and continue to build and grow his career. Now, if we take a little bit of a deeper look into Jaden, he's 22 years old, born on the 9th of August 2002. He's a winger, can play on either side as well as other positions. His contract does expire in 2028 and there are other clubs interested. As mentioned previously, the most notable ones are Preston and Panathinaikos, and the big thing to talk about with this is that both Preston and Derby County, I believe, would have to move players on in order to be able to bring this player on, or at least deregister a player or two. And for me, for Derby County, that's no problem. If they believe that he's better than what we've got, I can't see Paul Warne hanging about and letting a player stay registered who isn't necessarily up to the level. And I think that's what we're going to see with Jaden Montnor. Now, he's played for three or four different clubs through the age groups: Almeria in under 18, Zeeburger in under 19s, AZ Alkmaar's under 17. So he may have a little bit of a link to Kenzo Heldmine, but he's also played for Polton Jun, 19 games, 17 goals and 4 assists. And then also for SKN St Polton, I'm assuming that's a junior team and a senior team, 34 appearances, 8 goals and 8 assists. For Aris Limissimo, he has played 62 games, scoring 15 goals and collecting 7 assists, which are some really good stats for the top end division there in Cyprus. And he's a player who I think could come into Derby and cause some real problems for opposition defenders, and would even give Derby County more to think about when it comes to actually picking the squad on a weekend or a midweek game, because I think at the moment it's pretty self-explanatory who's going to get into the team and who is going to play on those wide areas. Obviously, yes, you have the situations when we move into a back five or things like that, but I think that's something which Derby County can develop with. Now, if we look at the leagues he's played in, obviously he's played in Cyprus, in a couple of their leagues, he's played in the European qualifying rounds, he's played in the under-19s Netherlands Cup, he's played in the under-19s Eredivisie, and he's also played in the Cypriot Super Cup, which is down there at the bottom. So he's got a wide range of experience so far throughout his career, and there's a lot more to come from this player. And if we look at his career as a whole, 135 appearances, including some of those youth age groups because Transfer Market includes them, 7,756 minutes, 40 goals, 19 assists, 17 yellows and 0 red cards. For me, I think those are some really good numbers. I think his youth numbers are really, really good as well. And obviously stepping up to the first team doesn't look like it's been that much of a drop-off for him. Now, if we look at where he can play, he is a versatile player, which is exactly what Paul Warne needs and wants. You look at a player like Marcus Harness, who can play on either side and through the middle, offers a really good opportunity for him to get minutes. You look at a Jerry Yates, who can play through the middle in the number 10 role, and at worst case scenario can play in those wide areas as well. And I think with this man, Jaden Montnor, I think he'll come in and be an excellent player for Derby County. Can play on the left and the right and through the middle. He can also play in the wing-back positions and even at left full-back. Although I wouldn't necessarily want to see him in those positions. I think his strengths are within those attacking areas in 1v1s, making things happen. And I think he could be an excellent addition for Derby County. We've already spoken about the link to the likes of Louis Barry and even to the likes of Ali Al Hamdi. And these are all players who I think would massively improve Derby County. I think if you bring him in and get rid of a Tom Barkhuizen, I think that's a step up. If you bring him in, if you bring in an Ali Alhamdi and get rid of a Connor Washington, it's a step up. If you bring in a Louis Barry and get rid of whoever you want to get rid of, in my opinion, it's a step up. So it's amazing. We can see where he's played his games here. He's played the majority of his games at centre forward or left wing, where he's played 35, 8 and 6 as a centre forward, 31, 7 and 4 on the left, 13, 4 and 2 on the right. And obviously you can see the positions he's played as well for a couple of games here and there. So really good player. Now, where would he fit into our situation? Now, for me, it'd obviously be one of the wide players. That would be the only reason why, in my opinion, we'd bring this player in. To play on one of those wings, to replace a Barkhuizen or a Blackett-Taylor, or even to move, say, I don't know, a Jackson through the middle and get rid of a Washington or something like that. And I think it would be the perfect move for Derby County. You obviously look at this depth chart, and we've got a lot of players, and a lot of them probably aren't really going to get into the side. You look at the likes of Rooney and Robinson, I can see them heading back out on loan in January. You look at the likes of Barkhuizen, you look at Connor Washington, I can see them being moved on in January. And Joe Ward really has got very fortunate with Ryan Nyambi's injury that I don't think he'll be moved on now. But it's a very interesting one to keep on top of with Joe Ward and the likes of Jake Rooney and Darren Robinson, because the injury to Cashin that he sustained a couple of days ago could be absolutely massive for Jake Rooney getting back in the team. You look at if there's a potential injury to Kane Wilson, that keeps Joe Ward about. And then if we don't bring in this player and we stick with the same wingers we've got, the likes of Barkhuizen and Blackett-Taylor will have to stay at the club, which obviously in my opinion isn't a problem. Obviously we just do need to start looking at taking those steps forward. Now, let's take a look at it. He has championship interest from Preston North End. Now, ultimately, Derby and Preston are sort of in a little bit of a similar situation in the championship. Keep getting away from relegation, falling back in a little bit, getting away again, falling back in. So we're sort of in the same position. Who has better facilities? I think fan bases could debate on that. I've personally worked at Derby County's facilities and I think they're excellent. Obviously, the facilities I've seen elsewhere, I think Derby Counties are sort of some of the best in the country. Not necessarily the best, but I'd probably say within the top maybe 20-25 clubs around the country, which is obviously massive for a player who's coming in to develop not only himself but also his career. As I mentioned previously, a versatile forward, can play all across that forward line as well as a load of other positions, which in my opinion is massively important for Paul Warne. You then go, the contract expiry is 2028, but he does play in the Cypriot League, which means he isn't valued as highly as some other players will be. He's valued at only €700,000 by Transfer Market, and the reported asking price, according to the sports journalists, international sports journalist, is between £750,000 and £1 million. Now, do I think Derby County have that money? Ultimately, I don't know. I personally would like to think that we still have a bit of money in the pot, because if we've gone out and wasted all our budget in the summer when there's still areas that we need to improve, I'd be very, very disappointed in the recruitment staff and the management that signed that off, essentially. And this is something which we're going to find out over the course of the next few weeks. Obviously, I'm sat here recording on the 15th of December with 15, 16, maybe 17 days away. I've got no idea how many days is in December, away from the start of the January transfer window. And in my opinion, we need to get our business done early. I don't think we will, but that's my opinion. I think you look at the likes of Washington, Barkhuizen, and I think they'll be swiftly moved on, whether it be a loan deal or permanent. But what do you think? Would you sign Jaden Montnor, or would you move on to somebody else? Now, has Santa been cooking? Is he going to drop us off a really good present? A little bit late in January, but let's see what Paul Warne and the recruitment team can do. There's obviously some massive things for Derby County to work on over the course of the January transfer window. Are we going to see that happen, or are Derby going to stick with what they've got?